Hi, this is Mike Schmitz, and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online. In this edition, we're going to be taking a look at a very popular Apple Mail plugin called Mail Butler. Mail Butler is a service that really can take your email management and processing to the next level by offering a bunch of additional features that aren't available in the standard Apple Mail application, and in fact, some of these things you can't even do in any email application out of the box. For example, Mail Butler allows you to turn your emails into to-do items and sync them to your reminders list so that you never forget about an email message that you need to follow up with. You can also implement tracking of email messages so you know when someone opens a message. You can schedule emails to be sent at a specific date and time in the future, which is great if you don't want people to know that you're processing your email at night or on the weekends. And you can even snooze emails by clearing them out of your inbox if you're unable to deal with them right now and have them appear when you're in a better state of mind in order to do something with it. Mail Butler is a premium service that offers a couple different tiers, including a basic version, a professional version, and a business version, with several additional premium features available in each of the additional tiers. But it's free to get started with, and even the essential version gives you up to 30 professional actions that you can use for free every single month. It's a snap to install and it's easy to get started with, and it can really supercharge Apple Mail and help take your email processing to the next level. In this episode, we're going to show you how to install Mail Butler, and we're going to walk you through several of the important key features that Mail Butler offers. Let's dive in.